If you're looking to be an entrepreneur, if you're looking to jump into the space of entrepreneurship, you have to know that there are going to be things in this space that you're inevitably going to have to get over and go through, right? So, and if I give you a story time real quick, when I was in Coke, so in 2020, 2021, I had to go to Coke. So I got my dream job out of college. I was a regional director in a company, loved it for a little bit, and then ended up hating it, realizing that it's not really what the I wanted to do. Quit that. Then after quitting that, I had gone into a space of, okay, I'm going to do entrepreneurship, because in 2019, when I was still in college, I did this clothing brand, made some bread off of that, ended up quitting that because I needed bread to fund that. And so I went looking for a job outside of college when I graduated. So you quit the job, and then I'm at home with the little bread that I had left. Ended up losing all that bread trying to do stocks, tried to do life coaching, tried to do YouTube, tried to do all of these other little facets to try to get bread. Didn't work out, right? Or so I thought. Lose all the bread, get into like this really interesting place where you have to deal with like self-development and whatnot. So you have to figure out some skills to get your shit back going again. And that requires you to look at yourself and say, okay, fuck, I'm not doing something correctly. And therefore I need to change. I need to whether it be reading, whether it be going to a mentor, whether it be self-reflection, writing in a journal, doing whatever. So I'm doing all of that while being broke. You take all the time that you've done that, you figure out little systems that work for other things, like the YouTube, like the stocks, like the life coaching, like all these other systems that you could put in place later down the road once you have the proper understanding, or at least the flexibility to do so. So figuring all of that out, and you're also doing self-development, did a lot of the self-development. And then I figured, okay, cool, I can't live broke this entire time. I need some sort of income. So I went to Coke. I ended up putting Coke on a shelf, right? And what that showed you is that you have to take sacrifices to get to where you want to go. So while taking Coke was a demotion from the job I had just left, it was giving me a little bread for me to get started, get me going, right? And it put some money in my pocket, gave me a little fuel, let me feel better, because now I can live a bit more at ease, knowing that you have money coming in, but you're still not an entrepreneur yet. You're still not in that space of garnishing money for yourself outside of the generic system of a 9-to-5, right? So I end up going through Coke, hating it, and not realizing that at that time I was building the resilience that was needed to cause pressure for me to then rapidly continue my growth, my self-development growth. And so while I'm at Coke, I'm putting stuff on the shelf, and I'm trying to figure it out, trying to figure it out. Still can't figure it out, because while doing that, I'm playing video games, I'm talking to ladies, I'm scrolling on Instagram and TikTok, I'm reminiscing, I'm procrastinating, I'm scared to jump into this lane because it's unknown, don't know how to make bread, looking up all these vloggers and YouTubers and how they make bread, looking up all these different ventures. So I'm like a missile that understands that he can do some damage if he were to focus and get right, but I was just distracted. And so this is where you start to waste a lot of time. And so I'm still doing the things that I need to do, which is looking into different ventures, looking into what to start, looking how to do business, looking how to set up certain things, but I'm not concentrated enough so that all of that compounds over a long period of time to get me a result, to then get me out of Coke. While I'm in Coke, I actually bump into my fucking mentor that's current, bumped into this guy, like middle of the day, I'm tired as fuck, don't want to deal with nobody. I'm like, yo, fuck this dude, bro. Why are you in my way? He decides to strike conversation about stocks and whatnot. So I give it an ear. Like I start to listen, hear it out. Cool, whatever. Still in that place of like, don't really give a fuck why are you talking to me. But it was witty enough in terms of the conversation and the banter that we had that I was intrigued to continue to hear him even though I was at work. He's continuing to talk and speak and give me like almost like wisdom. And I was like, you know what? This is dope. Like, and I'm just genuine because there's nothing else I can do. There's nothing to fake. There's nothing whatever. And that shit, to be frank, I didn't want to have him in my space at that time because all I wanted to do was work and get out the way. He then ends up giving me his number. We continue to speak over the weeks. And then he made a very like pointed phone call to me one day. And I was playing video games I was playing Black Ops 6, probably Warzone or something with my boys. And he said, "You're distracted." And that shit fucked me up because I knew that I was a missile that had all the power, all the energy, all the force, all the willingness to do what I have to do, but I just didn't know exactly where to go. When he said I was distracted, bro, took all of that bullshit, bro, wrote it on a piece of paper, right? Wrote every distraction down on a piece of paper, and I vowed to myself that the next morning that shit would be gone. The next morning I sold my Xbox. I got rid of all the bullshit. Talked to the lady, told her I couldn't deal with it. Got rid of the dog. Got rid of all of the women that may have been around me. Got rid of all the friends that weren't supporting me or that was a negative force in my life. Got rid of all the things that I mentally just like to use as intellectual stimulation or intellectual masturbation that really gets you nowhere. Got rid of all of that shit. 28 days after that, I ended up quitting coke because now all of the time that was freed up from getting all these distractions allowed me to become very focused on one thing. It doesn't just stop there. So when I got rid of all those distractions, what ended up happening is I started to try to focus on the things that I actually liked and the things I was passionate about, which was food and content creation. So I wanted to make my own YouTube channel or my own, what they call it? The food channels. So I would go around and review food and this, that, the third. Whatever. So I'm at a buddy of mine who owns a restaurant. I'm at Elm Street Diner. Shout out to John, because without John, I wouldn't be able to start any of this. So John is the owner of Elm Street Diner. Me and John were like this. I would go see John, make little videos to promote my thing, but within his restaurant. The day he called me and told me that there would be a group of people named Devour Power there. That was a huge foodie couple that would be there. Got there. Me and Devour Power met through John. They then give me the insight of how they did what they did because I found them as like role models because that's kind of where I wanted to be. And they told me this is how they did it, X, Y, Z. Cool, great. We vibed, we had a great time, we left, we yada, yada, yada. We knew each other, goodbye, got everyone's number, we all exchanged information, and we kind of just went our way. While being focused now that I had this sort of kind of understanding of what I'm doing, I went home and all I did was think about everything that they told me about how they got to where they were. And all I did was rewire it, go backwards and put my spin on it. And instead of doing it in a foodie space, I said, this makes sense, but you can take it 10 times further if you then turned it into an agency, right? So make it a content agency. And 28 days after I got that phone call, right? Because in that 28 days, I met them. So after that phone call, 28 days later, I quit my job because the thing I figured out was that not only is making content a necessary need for all businesses and the influencer piece is needed, it's like the consistency that's required with content on social media is needed. So why don't you just rewire it and say, instead of you becoming an influencer, become an agency that goes to these places, create some sort of package, and then you sell that as your product, right? So I had no real experience, but I had the willingness to at least learn and throw myself out there. And so jumping into that space, I'm feeling very weird, but I had the looks because I understood what the power of your image would be. I understood that you had to articulate yourself very well if you're going to ask for thousands of dollars at one time. I understood that I didn't want to be at fucking Coke anymore, putting up bottles on the shelf. So my current reality, I hated it so much that I was forced to change or forced to get or eliminate my distractions. I found my mentor at Coke, who then gave me little business tips in the beginning, and then we started to meet on a weekly basis that then reinforced that mindset of being focused and understanding how to run a business. Then took that and learned the experience from gaining multiple clients at once I quit Coke, right? And continue to do. And in the beginning, it's only you, bro. So it's only up to you to get this shit done, right? So I'm sitting there every single day after getting these clients doing client work. And so realistically, I left 9 to 5 to go to a self-employed spot, right? So because it's only you. However, I'm also learning that the people that I've met in Japan when I was in Japan doing school would also then be a big asset. So I bring on my buddy who is great at video editing and photo editing. Now it's not only you. right? So now they can help you and take on spots where you have to shut down and you can go work on something else while they work on that, right? So you're leveraging people that you know. Then I start to leverage other people that were better at networking than me, because I wasn't really the corporate guy who could take the bullshit or do the schmoozing, the small talk. So you get people in your space that are good at that. Leveraging people is one of the biggest things you learn in the beginning, is because you know you're not good at everything, but you have to be in the beginning, right? You have to learn how to do all this stuff. You have to learn how to talk to people. You have to learn how to network. You got to learn how to do the fucking skill to get the object or the product that you're selling, right? And then you have to learn contracts, and you have to learn fucking taxes. You got to learn business organization. You got to learn SOP, so system of operation, and how things are going to operate, so that when you have to remove yourself, you can hire somebody and it's not like this long drawn out process. They already have some sort of thing to look at. So it's so much that you had to unpack. As an entrepreneur, you still don't know exactly what the fuck you're doing and where you're going, because at any point, imagine if all your clients leave, now you're losing bread, right? And so that first period of time, you jump from, boy, Mr. Brown.